Ministry of Agriculture pushing to cut the cost of food import and cracking down on the growing migration problem. So don't go anywhere. The Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Thanks so much for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, a bold initiative being taken to promote Bahamian products, enhance farming, and decrease the high food cost in the country. Vendors from throughout the island of Eleuthera are among many across the Bahamas seeking to do just that. At least 20 of them got the opportunity to display their handicraft items and crops to locals and visitors alike during a two-day agribusiness expo in Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources V. Alfred Gray not only talked about the importance of food security, but encouraged vendors, farmers, and residents to become self-sufficient. Unique products created from straw, shell, and even crops reaped from farms across the island of Eleuthera were indicative of the growing business skills of the more than 25 vendors who participated in this year's Bahamas Agribusiness Expo in Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. The vendors and farmers were inspired to expand and help prepare the country to become self-sufficient in agriculture. As officials issued a strong pitch for expansion in local products, vendors and other small business operators were pleased for the economic avenue being provided.
This is my second time here, and I cannot say that I didn't make anything, but I made a lot, because the tourists really looking for native stuff, and that's what I offer them. And so being to the expo, it's very, I enjoy it, because when I leave from here, I have money in my pocket. Well, actually, this is my first time, and this is a good advertising for my business. So that's why I really came out. You know, it's a good exposure for me.
I had a lot of stuff here this morning, and if I would have sold wholesale, everything would have been gone. I told them I have to sell some stuff retail so some other people could get some stuff, but everybody wanted to just buy the case.
Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources V. Alfred Gray told Eleuthera farmers that their consistent struggle to make a good living from agriculture is almost over with the assistance from BAIC and BAMSI.
The $9,000 ceiling for your produce and products will soon be a matter of history. It is the intention of the government through BAMSI and BAIC to lift that ceiling, so that whatever you can produce in sufficient quantities, in good quality, and at a reasonable price, you will be able to sell it all.
The Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister further noted that he is optimistic that farmers will soon be able to supply this country with the food it needs to sustain itself.
We import some $900 million worth of food every year. And I know that you know, hadn't it been for the good graces of countries around the world to provide us with what we eat, we will all likewise perish. But I say to you tonight that I have hope. I live with great expectation that soon and very soon we will be able to produce sufficient food to feed this country and to export to countries near and far.
Some major investments are in the pipeline that will generate a large number of jobs for residents in Central and South Eleuthera pretty soon. Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources V. Alfred Gray talked about where those jobs will be created and which sector is expected to benefit.
The government has decided to build a mini hospital in Eleuthera, and that hospital, I am told, should begin within the next 3 to 4 months. That too will produce hundreds of jobs in the construction field for Eleuthera and its economy.
Now on to news from Abaco, where the Immigration Department is preparing for intense action that will involve the status check of illegal migrants there. The community-wide process will unfold in the coming weeks in Abaco, which has one of the largest illegal migration populations. Now in preparation for the crackdown, government agencies in Abaco, council members and civic leaders participated in a planning meeting. Minister of Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell, also in Abaco for that session, said adequate warnings are being given to ensure there are no surprises.
There'll be more intensive checks, I would suspect, over the next 6 weeks of businesses, for example, in the communities, construction sites, and that is a bit more intrusive than would normally be the case. But we want to be sure of the integrity of the workforce here. Only people who have work permits or permanent residence or some other form of right to work here, who are not nationals of the Bahamas, should be here on in any workplace. And then, of course, there's the question of these unauthorized settlements that have been building up around the place. The question is, are these places harboring illegal migrants? How do we deal with that issue? That's a more tactical and strategic decision that has to be made with regard to that.
According to Mr. Mitchell, the immigration initiative will expand into Exuma, Eleuthera as officers continue regular checks in New Providence to send a strong message to violators.
The main thing is to send a signal to these criminal syndicates that are running these operations that, it's not business as usual. The intelligence suggests that people are paying $1,500 to $5,000 a head for these trips. And that means that you're dealing with a sophisticated criminal enterprise. And I'm really concerned, of course, about these human rights activists and they're jumping up and down over these issues, and that they are not unwittingly supporting these criminal enterprises in trying to breach our borders. So all of that we have to work to get on top of it.
Tourism Minister Obi Wilchcombe called for Caribbean nations to get more involved in the tourism trade. He said it's time for Caribbean nations to look at the region as one body and work together to accomplish more in the future. He was addressing delegates and participants at the 4th Inter-American Development Bank Caribbean Governors Regional Meeting on Grand Bahama. The tourism minister noted that Grand Bahama and the city of Freeport were built on industry and tourism. He further pointed out that he would like to see the Caribbean Tourism Organization with greater representation a place on the CARICOM meeting's agenda, and for the IDB to do more to emphasize the importance of tourism to people and countries in the region. The stage is being set to welcome leaders and foreign ministers from across the region. The 26th intersessional meetings of the heads of government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, will be held here in the Bahamas. The regional conclave takes place this coming Thursday and Friday at the Melia Resort, followed by a meeting for regional foreign ministers. It's a high point for the Bahamas as delegates will discuss issues critical to the region's human, cultural, and natural development for economic growth. Ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency Mr. Picewell Forbes, says it's important to ensure that CARICOM is structured to meet regional demands.
What we're looking at the CARICOM level is that how we can make CARICOM much more effective and relevant to what's happening, especially with our younger people, and the issue of using our human resource pool in the region to strengthen ourselves. Our Prime Minister has spoken to it many times, and we've seen it in more recent developments, for example, with the implementation of VAT, where we use the expertise of places like St. Kitts and Grenada in our country as compared to getting what we call the regular consultants from the UK or Canada or North America. So we want to find a way to strengthen ourselves interregionally and keep some of the money in the region. So, hand go, hand come. And we want to look at that kind of protocol and how we're going to make ourselves stronger as a region.
Now, according to Forbes, CARICOM will also welcome new members as the regional body seeks to strengthen its structure.
I would be leading the charge, like I said, welcoming all the prime ministers and heads of delegation to our beautiful Commonwealth. And I must note the fact that while our prime minister is sharing, we would be adding 5 new associate members to CARICOM: Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Martin, Curacao, and French Guyana. This is a very proud movement for the Bahamas. While our prime minister is chairing, we'll become the largest voting bloc in this region.
And still to come, the search is still on for those who gunned down a father of 2 last year. That story and more when the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, continues.